Women on average experience more negative emotion than men. So 75% of divorces are initiated by women, and women are more unhappy than men. And so they're more prone to depression, and they're more prone to anxiety disorders. They're more prone to suicide attempts, although men commit suicide more often because they use guns. So women are higher negative emotion. And so why? Well, it kicks in at puberty. And so why would women become more sensitive to threat at puberty? Well, let's figure it out. They're at a physical disadvantage. Women get comparatively weaker physically, so the world's more dangerous. Okay, then they're more vulnerable sexually. Right? Then they have to take care of infants. So they're tilted towards more threat detection. And so that makes them maybe suboptimally happy when you think about them as individuals.
Hello, everyone. Today I'll explain why it's not only smart but brilliant to stay away from women. First and foremost, you shouldn't interact with women because you don't want to end up as someone's emotional tampon. Most men are able to avoid internalizing all the negative emotional energy they pick up from interacting with women and instead use other men at work as dumping grounds for their negative emotions. This is because most men don't internalize all the bad energy that they get from interacting with women. If the women don't focus their negative energy on these guys, they face the danger of venting it on their friends, their job, or some other unlucky bystander in the form of road rage. What do you believe the movie Falling Down narrative is all about? A guy who is sick and tired of being used as a man pawn, also known as a male tampon, and he finally unleashes 30 years worth of bloody goodness upon society. But at the same time, he has to cope with the knowledge that people will criticize him for it. If you strive to be moral and keep your unpleasant emotions bottled up and under control so as not to dump them on other people, you may end up internalizing those feelings instead. Because it takes a woman time to unload her emotional baggage onto you, avoiding them may save you a lot of time. The opportunity cost of wasting an hour or two of your day chatting aimlessly with a woman is equivalent to the time you could have spent doing something more useful. A man who absorbs the negativity these crazy ladies threw their way is no better than a loser, because it causes people to forget who they really are and act in a servile manner, which is exceedingly improbable for a guy of great worth. You will start to feel anxious just being around them because you will anticipate getting a dump truck load of emotional muck thrown on your head once you understand that all of them, including your mother, partake in these activities. However, after being thrown into a vat of hazardous waste by Murphy, many men don't instantly identify it and end up looking like Dinner from the movie RoboCop on the inside. Women would go crazy if males went on an attention strike for 2, 3, or even 7 days because they would have nowhere to vent their frustrations. When a woman threatens to leave her partner, he may feel as though he is at risk of losing her approval, which can screw with his self-esteem. However, interaction with women at home or work is often inevitable, and males on an attention strike would drive women insane. Many of these cases include women gaslighting their male partners into staying with them when they have no intention of doing so. For males, the ultimate negotiating chip would be a men-wide attention strike, which would show women that we know what we're doing. Their initial reaction would be a nervous giggle as if it were of no concern. Yet, they would soon begin bargaining and pleading with us for our attention. After venting to their girlfriends and discovering there was nowhere to go, all the women would be down in the dumps, and their gloom would feed on itself in a negative feedback cycle. Despite what women would have you believe, they cannot survive without males. There are drawbacks to avoiding ladies in this clown world show, such as not receiving affirmation, but as time goes on, you become more emotionally independent. From a logical standpoint, you're right, but I personally experienced a subconscious thirst for the company of the other sex around the 8-month mark. This feeling eventually subsided after I had talked to enough women, but for women, the negatives quickly spiral out of control if they can't talk to a man. Previously, the only option for those suffering from mental illness would have been a stay in a mental institution. Now, because of advances in medicine, they may obtain the assistance they need without having to check themselves into a psychiatric facility. With their bellies full of mac and cheese, males might go on an indifference strike against women that would have a larger impact than a pleasure strike by women, because indifference is the antithesis of love and attachment and hence would have a higher impact. Men used to often go on attention strikes, disappearing for many days at a time to go hunting in the days before modern cities, when there was no true hostility. You can only imagine the joy and pleasure it must have given to the ladies when their happy men came back with food and attention. It must have been like having their emotional tampons changed. Today's women take men's contributions for granted and even go to the extent to call men useless and pathetic, which has led to an increase in the disdain they show males. It's about time we let them know we're the ones who earn a living off of and appreciate their attractiveness. If men stop caring about what women wear, how they act among other people, most women will lose their jobs and, worse, won't have a boyfriend or spouse to return to. I know it sounds brutal, but as barbaric as it is, women are calculated and practical social beings. They dress a certain way and act accordingly to seduce men and make them fall into the lust cycle. But wait till you show them the mirror and treat them like they are supposed to be. That's the cold, hard reality, guys. Men are the ones who pay, and no matter how much nonsense women feed them, they shouldn't grovel before them. It's better for everyone's sanity if men just ignore them and go their own way. This concludes today's video. Until then, remember to take your red pill every day and pass along the information to anybody who may benefit.